Hey Dave, Phil Andrews, Tableau Software. Wanted to create a personalized video for you just to articulate the difference that Tableau brings in the market and specifically the value we can bring for you. So a Harvard Business Review article recently stated that top performing companies are 5 times more likely to be data driven. And specifically, this drives into productivity at 6% higher than their peers and profitability 5% higher than their peers. And obviously, we all want to be more productive. We also want to be more profitable, right? And data can drive that. And so there's a couple things that are challenging about data traditionally that Tableau solves. And so I've got a whiteboard here that I'm going to walk you through to show you and talk you through here. So on a spectrum, we've got gut-driven companies, and then we've got data-driven. And the reason why you're talking to Tableau is because you want to be more data-driven. So there's a spectrum here. Most companies are right around here, but you're looking to get here. And there's a couple things that get in the way of empowering your business to be data-driven. People. And by people, I don't mean having smarter people. I just mean people who can actually leverage the data, who are technical enough to get at the data, to leverage it, to use it, right? And then resources. Currently with SAP, you've got a team of developers, right? That's a limited set of resources. And then time. By time, how long does it take when a report request, a dashboard request is made in order to fulfill that, right? It could take a couple hours, a couple days, maybe even a week or two, right? And so traditional BI, you've got Bob here. Bob's got a question, right? So Bob wants to ask a question, but he's not technical enough to get close to the data to be able to interact with it, right? So he's actually got to go through a report factory. I'll call this your SAP developers. A little smokestack, and they're cranking out, connecting to all the data sources. Got a database, a cube, some spreadsheets, and they're cranking out reports for Bob. The challenge that we're running into is 10 years ago, this model worked fine. People could get a report every week, every month, or ad hoc here and there, and it was sufficient. But when Bob goes home, Bob watches a tennis match. And in that tennis match, he sees Roger Federer. And he has some questions that just kind of stream and flow. Is he married? What was his first major Grand Slam win? Where was he born? Where does he live now, right? Just lots of questions, and he asks Siri or Wikipedia or Google, right? And he gets those answers like that. And then he comes to work and he has a question, but he's got to wait for the developers to query the data and come back with results. And that result could be an app or a dashboard or a report or just raw data. And so that generally takes hours or days, this process. The challenge here is there's lots of Bobs within the business. There's Sally, there's Frank, so on and so forth, right? And it creates a bottleneck. So what does Bob do? Bob goes to Excel. And he fat fingers data, and there's old data floating around, and there's no one source of the truth, right? And I'm sure that happens at most organizations, yours as well, where there's lots of Excel documents. So this model fundamentally doesn't work in today's day and age because everyone wants to be empowered by data in real time, the way they are as consumers. And I call that the consumerization of data. So this is traditional, conventional business intelligence, where you have this report factory, and I'll call this a factory, that the business is relying on to get at the data. Tableau fundamentally changes this paradigm. And this is where I think we can add maximum value for Summit. So over here, you've got Bob, and this is the Tableau paradigm. And Bob actually, although he's not that technical, can get up and close with the data, be permissioned and governed to ask questions of that, and actually visualize that data. So he can look at it in charts and graphs. And visually, the brain can process data faster and find outliers and trends. And so Bob's able to get at the data and visualize it, and he's got a question, and he creates a report himself. But that leads him to another question that report wasn't designed to answer, but that it leads him to. Now over here, he would have had to go back to the factory to get an iteration, a change request, maybe a new report, right? But here, he can actually re-query the data himself to another question. And it's gonna drive him down a path because really what he's looking to get to is a light bulb, which my art degree, as you can tell, shows is insight. And so this is what Bob really wants to get at. This is what your business really wants to get at. This is where Tableau is different from a SAP product or an Oracle or ClickView or MicroStrategy or 100 other products that are reliant on some type of development workforce and technical team to get at the data, is you can permission Bob to get there and drive through the data to get to insight. And this is the value that we can bring across your business, and as a result, we are going to impact profitability and we are going to impact productivity. So, appreciate your time. Thanks for letting me share this with you. Excited to get some demos going and make a massive impact on your organization starting in 2015 and beyond.